Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 is a special film for me. It was the first movie I put on by myself, watched entirely, and liked. I didn't know it was a part of the MCU. This was before I knew the MCU. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 being James Gunn's last project at Marvel and the last iteration of the current Guardians, it promised to be heartfelt and emotional just like Avengers Endgame. And I'm pleased to say, as much as Spider-Man No Way Home was the endgame of the live-action Spider-Man films, Volume 3 is the endgame of the Guardians franchise. My main criticism for Quantumania was that it didn't have the special quality most MCU trilogy enders had. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 made it all about this found family, who arguably are the most lovable group of characters in the MCU, and it was worth it. You're listening to Elton Talks, I'm your host Elton, and welcome to the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 spoiler review. It's Rocket Raccoon. I remember the quotes of how are they going to make a talking tree and a raccoon work, but we know they did make it work. The responses I see online when people think Rocket is going to die just shows how much people love this character. Choosing to focus on Rocket's origin was sure to be emotional, and the trailers mostly hinted that Rocket would die. But it started to become obvious that it was a misdirect. Nevertheless, the VFX team and James Gunn made it too emotional with those expressive eyes and good writing and directing. All of Rocket's scenes were emotional, but I couldn't control myself when Rocket saw small raccoons caged and when he read the details of where he had come from and embraced it right after in the fight against the High Evolutionary. The High Evolutionary, one of MCU's best villains? I don't think it would be wrong to say the animal violence is mostly why he is the meanest, but the writing and acting was really good. I would say after seeing two dark-skinned actors play villains wearing purple with powers beyond what our heroes can fight, I felt the High Evolutionary better than Kang. No disrespect to Jonathan Majors, I loved his performance in Loki. It's just the writing and execution that makes two very similar characters have such a different impact. He should have died. I love the hallway fight leading up to all the Guardians attacking the High Evolutionary in a coordinated attack to take him down. Quill being one of the last ones to heroically get off the High Evolutionary's exploding ship only to not make it to the floating head of nowhere, and the Guardians' reaction coupled with Groot extending his arms only for it to freeze and break off, the music device floating off Quill's hand, made it feel sad but a very beautiful way to say goodbye to the character. It was perfect. I don't mind seeing Quill again, but that scene was constructed so well, I might have just killed him. The end credits assures that the legendary Star-Lord will return, not the Guardians, so I'm excited to see what exactly they have in mind for Quill. The team disbanded. It is disappointing that no one died, especially after Gunn promising significant deaths, and since the first two Guardians of the Galaxy logos reflect the color of the character who dies in that particular movie. But I'm glad that they got a happy ending. The team getting disbanded was a good end to the trilogy, and I think it's a clever decision as they can use the characters however they like now without bothering about the whole team. But it would have been more effective if the decision to disband was more connected to what the Guardians experienced in this movie. Welcome to the freaking Guardians of the Galaxy. The mid-credit scene shows us the new team: Rocket Raccoon, Kraglin, Adam Warlock, Cosmo the Space Dog, Groot, and Phyla. This lineup looks fun. Adam was not used very well in this movie, but Will Poulter did his best with what he got. Phyla is the latest to join the quote-unquote character introduced in the post-credit scene or at the very end of the movie list. Star Fox, Clea, Love, T'Challa Jr., and now Phyla. While for Love and T'Challa it can be argued that they are part of the story, the others are just new additions. We know little to nothing about them. I feel Love and Phyla having mysterious powers and being around the same age could lead to them getting on a team together. Only time will tell. We already discussed about the most important character of this movie, Rocket, and also about Star. Now let's move on to the other characters. Nebula grew through the Avengers films, and I wouldn't be lying if I said Endgame made many fall in love with the character. Nebula is now a multi-utility cyborg, which is so cool. I hope she is not restricted to just taking care of nowhere. Groot's new look seems to be not so cool, but he was packed with surprises. The guns he was hiding under his body or the wings, this character can now do anything. I loved it when Groot shined. And how can I forget he spoke, or was he supposed to? It's most likely that we, the audience, learned to understand what he's saying, just how Gamora had a few moments ago in the same movie. But it was not very clear in the movie. A really good thought, I must say. Mantis has always had a lot of potential. She's a super powerful character in the comics. MCU's Mantis has some really great moments in this film, but I'm most excited for what she's able to do with the three new beasts she has now. It's sad to see her and Drax part ways. Drax the Dad. Drax is another character that is different from the comics, but the ending where Drax agrees to help Nebula take care of the children and is told he was meant to be a dad made it feel right for this character. He's not Drax the Destroyer, but he's Drax the Dad. Gamora added so much of weight to Thanos' character in Infinity War, but it ended up ruining her dynamics with the team. As I try to fit this new Gamora in with the team, it's really hard to understand where this character can go next, but I can say we have still not seen the galaxy's best assassin, which she is supposed to be. Yondu's replacement Kraglin can never take the place of his former boss, but the moment where he learned to master that arrow was a really touching moment. Cosmo the Space Dog is a cute character with such incredible power, but I really don't know where she can fit in. I'm excited to see what the MCU has in store for these new characters like Kraglin, Adam Warlock, Cosmo the Space Dog, and Phyla. Overall, I'm really satisfied with the kind of closure the core team has got. Even though not a perfect closure, it's a good ending to the trilogy, and the characters are left in places from where their stories can be picked up in an interesting way. With the recent string of not so good content from the MCU, it's really refreshing to see an earlier franchise prove how it was and should be done. Here's looking forward as always for a better MCU. Please do like, share and subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, love you 3000.